I'm bored, let's watch Ryan Kinel. The title of this video is I Can Finally See Myself in Star Wars. Andor star praises diversity as Star Wars fans walk away. We're talking about Andor, the show's over. It's over, we're not getting any more Andor. Okay, let's go.
Over the past several years, as Lucasfilm and Disney have continued to preach about representation, they've seen their fan base fleeing their product. Disney Star Wars is in an absolutely horrible place. But so many of the actors and producers and directors involved, all they can do is preach about...
But isn't that a red flag, right? That mention of diversity sends people away? I feel like that's a red flag. I'm just saying, like, that's not a good thing. It's not a good thing for the fandom if that's what's happening. Okay.
How great it is about how much diversity they've brought to Star Wars, because now people can see themselves being represented. John Boyega, not that long ago, even though he used to criticize Disney and Lucasfilm, now he was going after the fan base. John Boyega said racist Star Wars fans, couldn't accept him. Even
so, racist. There's a word before fans that I think you're missing there. Let's rewind what you said here. Because it sounds to me like you're holding the bucket for racist. You're on the front lines for the racist Star Wars fans. But I want to be clear here. So let's listen to what you have to say.
Not that long ago, even though he used to criticize Disney and Lucasfilm, now he was going after the fan base. Okay. John Boyega said racist Star Wars fans, couldn't accept him.
Right. So he wasn't going after the fan base. He was going after the racist fans. You kind of... I don't know if you're illiterate, or just racist. I'm not sure which one it is, but he said racist fans, not fans, racist fans. You guys love to sort of play the game with that when you're talking about actors attacking fans. But yeah, he said racist fans.
Even though they'd had plenty of black characters in the series before, it was wild. It was all
wait, hold on. What was that?
John Boyega said racist Star Wars fans couldn't accept him, even though they'd had plenty of black characters in the series before. It was
plenty of black characters. Let's count how many prominent black actors or black characters were in Star Wars prior to his trilogy. Lando and Mace, the two black guys, each in one of the trilogies. Those were the prominent black characters. The plenty of black characters in Star Wars prior to him coming on. I don't know about you, but 2 doesn't seem like plenty to me. It seems like a couple over 6 films. But okay.
It was wild, but it was all, saying how grateful he was to finally represent black people in Star Wars so people can see themselves in Star Wars. Well, apparently Diego Luna feels the exact same way.
So what I don't understand is if you don't have an issue with black people in Star Wars, why are you mad that he's saying that? Like, what's the reason for that? Like, are you sitting around going, oh man, too many black people in Star Wars, way too many. Just think about this for a second. When a black actor says that he's happy to represent his community in a trilogy of movies, when the previous 6 films only had each one black guy in them each, I don't think that's a reason for white people to get mad. Like, Ryan, I don't know why that makes you mad. It seems like he's pointing out the obvious. He's just stating the obvious.
About Andor and his role as Cassian Andor in Disney Star Wars. Diego Luna on the importance of representation in Andor. And there was a lot of representation in Andor, and I've said it multiple times. I'll say it again. I think that we've seen some of the best stuff that Disney Star Wars has ever done in Andor, albeit it still does have a lot of problems. But one of the things that was glaringly obvious with Andor was the need to be like, hey, look, we've got a lot of representation in this. They talked about it with a lot of the cast and crew in Rogue One, even way back then, and they talked about it for Andor. Diego Luna saying the same thing. I grew up watching Star Wars, and no one looked like me. First of all, Diego Luna, if you didn't speak with a fucking accent, I don't think anyone would know that you were even Hispanic.
Oh, racist much? Racist much? Oh, he's white passing. So he has no reason to be proud of his heritage or his community because to you, he passes as a white guy. So you have no problem with him as long as you don't hear him speak, and he looks like a white person.
Just being honest with you. There was no way I could picture myself as part of that universe. And today it's different. If you're young and you have a Latino background, you see Star Wars and you go like, wow, that universe represents me too. And that's kind of cool. We're going to go through this entire article where he talks about Gold Derby, Andor's Diego Luna on changing landscape.
Wait. How long is this video? 8 minutes? Oh, God, an 8-minute Ryan Kinel video? Let's do it.
Of Star Wars. Now that universe represents me too. It's weird that 20, 30, 40 years ago, there was just a lot of fucking people that love Star Wars all around the world. White people, black people, Latinos, Asians, everybody. They love Star Wars because they thought it was an awesome story. But now that we've gotten into this area of these people bragging about, you know what, we need something that represents this person and this group of people, the audience has gone the fuck away.
So let me put it this way. Like, what is the issue with a community speaking to their community about how they're happy to be a representation of that in media? How is that a fucking problem? What does that have to do with the quality of the project that they're working on? And I mean that specifically towards like a lot of these racist fans of Star Wars. What does that have to do with the end result of these projects? Andor, for as far as I know, most people really like Andor. So now that the show is over, they're doing interviews with the cast members, and the cast members are saying, I was happy to be a part of Star Wars, and it gave me a chance to represent my community within the Star Wars fandom. Why does that bother you so much? This is a genuine question. Why does that bother you? Why are you so angry that someone in Star Wars who comes from a marginalized community is happy to represent that community in Star Wars? How does that change what you're watching, the product you're looking at? Because the same fucking community, Ryan's community, the straight white Christian community, would want you to support them even when they're out there touting all of their values, whether it be gun culture, whether it be Christianity, whatever it is. You're supposed to allow them to have that platform for them to say whatever the fuck they want to say when it comes to that stuff. Separating the art from the artist. Where did that go? Where did that statement go? This is the same argument they would make for Gina fucking Carano, is that her opinions are free speech outside of Star Wars. So whatever she wanted to say or do, we're supposed to just eat that shit up, allow her to say it with no pushback whatsoever, and she's still supposed to be able to work on Star Wars, and people are still supposed to support her because she's involved with Star Wars. That is their stance on Gina Carano. We're talking about people of color or other marginalized people in Star Wars when they even mention a peep about their community or any of their personal beliefs at all. These guys come at them like a serial killer in a movie. Video after video after video after video coming after them. And here we are talking about a show it's done. Andor is done. It's over. The series has ended. So you know the light bill is due. You know that they need this money. We're going to take a look at his views here in a second, because I got to tell you, it's a different place than where it was 3 years ago for Ryan Kinel. It's a different place. But let's continue with this video.
In fact, despite the praise that Andor is receiving, it basically has the lowest ratings of any Disney Star Wars show.
What does that have to do with anything? What does that have to do with anything? Are you suggesting that the show has low ratings, low views, whatever, because it has brown people in it? That his quote here after the show ended, that the quote that came out a month after the show ended, that somehow affected the views of the show prior to this?
When you're talking a per episode basis or a per minute basis, it performs worse than The Acolyte. That's not just me bullshitting, that's reality.
But what is your point? What is your point? I want to see what the point of this is. Because you've already addressed the fact that the show is well done. You said that earlier. And I think your community has pretty much accepted the show as one of the best Star Wars projects in terms of Disney+. So what is your point? Does that mean Acolyte is good? Does that now mean that Acolyte is better than Andor because it got more views than Andor? What is your point?
Reality. I mean, when we look right now at the Nielsen streaming ratings, we are now through the 3rd week for Andor ratings. This tracks behind about a month, so we're getting Nielsen ratings as they come for Andor. 830 minutes watched, which...
Bro, what does it have to do with what he said or anything in the fucking planet? What does this have to do with that?
You also have to understand that they released 3-hour-long episodes to get to that 830 minutes watched. Not even talking about the potential backlog from people rewatching season 1 or rewatching other episodes, but let's just say all 830 minutes are coming just from people watching those 3 episodes.
Bro, what the fuck does this have to do with anything? What does this have to do with what he said? What? Get to the fucking point.
When you compare it to the numbers we saw for The Acolyte, when they released individual episodes,
just proves
370 minutes watched.
This just proves how fucking stupid your arguments are. Do you not understand this disproves everything you said? This destroys your fucking argument. Your argument was that Acolyte was bad. It's the worst of the worst. It's driving fans away from Star Wars forever because of how open and actively they were talking about things outside of the show while the show was airing. And now you try to come at Andor over something that he said after the show has finished airing and numbers that show that it's doing worse than The Acolyte. Bro, this doesn't help your argument. This doesn't help it doesn't help. Like, is math not the strong suit of anybody in your fucking community? This doesn't help anything.
Watched. What was the finale for The Acolyte? 335 minutes watched. Only releasing 1 episode. It was significantly shorter runtime. So if you actually factor that in, fewer people are watching Andor or were watching Andor than watch The Acolyte.
So
that's not bullshitting. That's just
so. What is your point?
Like, you only had 1 episode of The Acolyte come out. It was like 40 minutes long, and they're averaging around 330, 340 million minutes watched. Whereas Andor, it's not 3 times that, despite their episode lengths being longer and despite them releasing 3 episodes at once, 3 hours of content at once.
Your point.
But Diego Luna is very happy.
So there was no point to that? There was no point to that. What was the point of showing those numbers, bro? Like, what was the point? You compared it to a show that you said was shit. You guys have already agreed that this is better than that show. And because Diego Luna said something after the show has aired that has set off your white outrage, you're going back now and trying to say that the show is bad because Acolyte performed better than the show? What kind of fucking incel logic is this? What was the point of showing that?
With the representation. Let's get into this entire representation thing here. Star Wars has been largely set in more of a mythic fairy tale realm, and you guys have moved it nicely into an allegorical way of telling the stories, using Star Wars that kind of vehicle. What did that mean to you to shift the paradigm on how to tell a Star Wars story and see it hit with the audience the way that it has? Well, it's just the audience keeps changing, keeps growing, and keeps growing in diversity. The audience for Star Wars is not growing. In fact, as you're pushing more representation, whether it's the queer representation, whether it's you being so happy to be a Latino or whatever it is.
Where did he push it? Show me where he pushed any of this. He mentioned it in an article after the show was done. Where did Diego Luna push any of this that would cause the show to underperform a month ago? Unless there's some weird time travel shit going on, that's an impossibility. So what the fuck are you even talking about?
The audience is going away. They're fleeing. There are fewer people that are excited for Star Wars now than there may have ever been in the history of the franchise.
I'm going to need numbers for that. You're a numbers person. You pulled up a fucking graph with ratings. So pull up some sort of study that has been done other than anecdotal hyperbole on your part that shows that Star Wars, the fandom that you're talking about, is less excited now than they've ever been. I don't care about social media posts. I don't care about views on outrage videos. Show me something that proves what you're saying. Spoiler alert, there is no proof of that. There's no proof. It is all 100% speculation.
The audience is not growing despite you trying to represent everyone or whatever the fuck this is, they're going away. They're moving away.
So earlier, Ryan said that John Boyega called out Star Wars fans, specifically racist fans. And he said that was preposterous. Why would you do that? Why would you attack the fans? The racist fans. But his argument here is that fans are walking away from Star Wars because of diversity. They're walking away from Star Wars because of brown people being in it. They're walking away from Star Wars because of queer people being in it. We don't need to listen to the rest of this because I think it's pretty clear here what's going on. Your argument isn't mapping out here, Ryan. It isn't mapping out. If you don't want people like John Boyega to call out the racism in Star Wars, you should not defend that by saying that fans are walking away from Star Wars because of race. Those two things counteract each other. If people turn on Star Wars and they're like, oh shit, there's a black person, time to stop watching it, then that is a racist action. And that is what John Boyega was talking about. And you have proved it here by saying, according to you, people are walking away from Star Wars in numbers we've never seen before because of race. I would like to thank you for proving John Boyega right. I would also like to thank you for proving the Acolyte was really good, even though you guys said it wasn't, because according to you, it's performing better than Andor. So that means it's a really good show, right? Must be 2-3 times better than Andor if the numbers are good. Because you had no point with that otherwise. It doesn't really mean anything. Oh, and the time travel element. Also that people did not watch Andor over a month ago because of an article that just came out recently. Oh, before we go, actually, I want to take a look at Ryan's page here because things have gotten a little light for these guys, right? So here we got Ryan's page. I want to take a look at some of the more recent videos here. 40K, 26K, 17K, 53K, 40K. Oh, here's one with 107K because of White Black Panther. 29, 32, 44, 43, 33, 30, 30, 94 here, another anti-Marvel video. Let's take a look at what Ryan was doing at the height of his popularity. 1.2 million, 1 million, 726,000, 561,000, 490, 428, 395, 366, 345, 320. Look, we're going down here. Consistently in these big numbers here, these big numbers. And now this is what it looks like for his channel. Also, there's a lack of anti-gay stuff. They're not screaming about pride stuff this year because they effectively beat down corporations from putting rainbow stuff everywhere, which, okay, but pride is just as busy for me as it's ever been because, like I said, these corporations don't represent pride. They never have. I have like 14 or 15 pride events this month because pride is a grassroots community-driven movement. It's not corporations putting rainbows on stuff. But that just goes to show that these guys don't know what they're talking about. So no, not a lot of anti-gay stuff on his channel this month. Yeah, we're 10 days back, nothing. Because there's nothing to talk about. You guys effectively bullied corporations into not putting rainbows on their profiles. Congratulations on that, by the way. Congratulations. You guys need your safe spaces. Fucking cowards.